So are we on?
Yeah, we're on.
We're on?
Yeah.
You mean there's people looking at us right now?
I think so. I'm gonna check and
They're
find
going to
out.
check. Well, we had a slight technical difficulty beforehand. You know, when you do these services, you've got to find like little cords. What's the name of that little cord we were missing?
A lightning cable?
A lightning cable. We need a donation of a couple more lightning cables
It's
before
like
you know.
it's like the adapter to the auxiliary plug. It's very complicated.
That's right. So before you know it, we're going to get all kinds of stuff donated.
Yes.
But in the meantime, it's good to be with you.
It is.
And
oh yeah, we got 30 people are watching.
30 people.
And plus we have Brittany Fywell, the Bar Mitzvah's mother, is hosting a watch party, and I saw there were some people on her, so I think we have more than a minute. We can begin.
All right. Well, good Shabbos, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. It's been quite a week of creative programming. Somehow our creative juices just got going. We had a huge turnout for our first Nosh and Netflix with Unorthodox. That was incredible. So if you still haven't seen the Unorthodox series, go ahead and watch it. We had people watching the Frisco Kid for a little bit of comic relief. We had a great conversation, and Rabbi Cohen and I talked about what's going to happen when they finally give us the 2 thumbs up and we're allowed to re-enter the building. And we were just kind of getting a little creative and getting people's input, but there's a lot that goes into it. But the star of the week, of course, is still your son Emmett. He must be having a fan club already.
I think so.
I think so, with your story time and your Neshama Flow, and we had our weekly schmooze.
Well, he's not part of Neshama Flow, but I have to say something about Neshama Flow. So
Yeah.
I had hurt my back this week. You kept telling me to take ibuprofen. We were having meetings over Zoom, and you're like, take some ibuprofen. Well, the ibuprofen didn't work, but when I did Neshama Flow with Cassidy, I had like 6 hours of relief. So if you're having any back pain, next week, Thursday at 4:30, highly recommend it. My back is not hurting me.
Okay, what's good for the soul is good for the body.
Yes.
Is what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's good. So coming up, before we talk about tomorrow, we know that on Sunday, believe it or not, it's the last day of religious school. So we've been holding, the last couple months, we've been having Zoom classes. Believe it or not, the attendance has been spectacular. So thank you, parents, thank you, students. But it's the last day, and we're going to attempt the seeming impossible. We're going to end the year with an all-school assembly. And so make sure you look at your emails from the temple, because it'll give you the Zoom ID, and at roughly 10:45 a.m., we're going to come together virtually, and we have a little something special to show everyone that'll talk about how the year has been, both creatively and in celebration of all that we've accomplished. So that's great. But tomorrow I still have my Torah class. We're getting people from several different states. It's at 8:45 a.m. We hope that you'll tune in. And then we are going to have our first Zoom mitzvah, although you keep reminding me it's not a Zoom.
Don't go to Zoom.
Don't go to Zoom, but talk about it. It's tomorrow.
Our live mitzvah, what did somebody call it today? Are there COVID mitzvah?
Kol hakavod, right?
Okay. however you want to say it, we are doing a bar mitzvah like never before. Maverick Fywell becomes a bar mitzvah. He's here on our bima tonight, more than 6 feet apart from us, and he is going to help us lead some of the prayers. And we are so excited to be part of this experience. And his family is very creative. They've gone all out for this experience, and probably my favorite thing, and I think when we're back in our buildings and everything, I think we should still continue this, because we can't have an oneg together where we share in the dessert. We basically picked up our oneg, and then together over Zoom today with all of your friends and family, we decorated the oneg, which is cookies, with the theme given to us as Maverick's Pandemic Bar Mitzvah. So these are the cookies that I made. I'm not a great artist. I'm a much better singer. But they say things like bar mitzvah, COVID-13, and then there's a few that have just an M on it for Maverick. And
so this is the bar mitzvah of COVID, is what you're saying,
yes,
COVID-13.
COVID-13, yeah. Mm-hmm. So we're excited to share in that. I wish there was enough cookies to bring to all of your homes, but hopefully you'll indulge in something a little sweet after the service.
All right. And we'll be dreaming up some new programs to greet you this year. Stay tuned. Look on the temple website and the emails as we come up with some more creative ideas. So let's get started. Again, a good Shabbos, everyone. Ricky, thanks so much. And let's go ahead and usher in the Shabbat with the kindling of the Shabbat lights.
Tonight we light the Shabbat candles in honor of Maverick's becoming a Bar Mitzvah, and I will do this in place of his mom and the matriarchs of his family.
If you're following along in the prayer book, we continue on page 126. I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics and no services, but I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity to love. As I reach upward in prayer, I sense these qualities in my Creator. To love God is to love each other, to work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illumine all of us and to bring that vision to life.
We turn to page 138 to welcome the Shabbat bride, Lecha Dodi. Verses 1, 2, and 9. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, pnei Shabbat, nekabela. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, pnei Shabbat, nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, yishmi'anu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, l'shem u'tiferet v'litiyah. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, pnei Shabbat, nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki mekor ha'beracha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshava techila. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, pnei Shabbat, nekabela. Those who are able, please rise for the Baruch Hu as we face east.
Bye.
149. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and seasons glides. Your breath guides the sail of the stars, creator of the tide of time and light. You guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows.
Baruch atah Adonai Hamari Varavim.
As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me, did you mean its struggle for me as well? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery.
Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malechuto Leolam Vaed.
Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Blessed is God's glorious majesty forever and ever.
If you're standing, please be seated. We continue with Ve'ahavta on page 154.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavecha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh asher anohi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha u'blechtecha v'derech u'shachbecha u'vkumecha u'kshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot beinenecha u'chtaftam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yetem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeitietem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lahem lelohim ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem emet.
We read together at the top of page 157 with Maverick.
Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe that we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there, except by joining hands, marching together.
I want to see you dancing.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha neder b'kodesh, nora tehilot, osei fele, mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha neder b'kodesh, nora tehilot, osei fele. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. us from all harmful things. Adonai, keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right. Amen. 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 Amen.
We turn to page 162 so that we remember the joy, the oneg, the delight of Shabbat. And so we thought that we should get you warmed up for tomorrow's service, that you would know the choreography just in case you don't already know it. So we're going to sing Yismechu, which is about the keeping of Shabbat and the joy of Shabbat. And we're going to teach you the dance. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so it goes like this. It's a little silly, but you will feel like so much better when you're done with this dance, I promise. Yismechu v'malechutecha shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. All right, you got it? You got it?
Yeah.
You got it, Rabbi? Okay, here we go. All right, here we go. Are you ready? Yismechu v'malechutecha
Shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat, v'korei oneg Shabbat.
Yismechu v'malechutecha
Shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat, v'korei oneg Shabbat. Mekadeshei sheli Shabbat, kulam yisbe'u, v'yitangu mituvech Shabbat.
Yismechu v'malechutecha
Shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat, v'korei oneg Shabbat. Yisme'u v'malechutecha. Shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat, v'korei oneg Shabbat. Rashvi ratzita bo v'kideshta Shabbat. Chemdat yamim ota ukarata Shabbat.
Yismechu v'malechutecha
Shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat, v'korei oneg Shabbat.
Yismechu v'malechutecha
Shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat, v'korei oneg Shabbat. Zeicher l'maaseh b'rishit Shabbat. Zeicher l'maaseh b'rishit Shabbat.
Last two times. Yismechu v'malechutecha
Shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat, v'korei oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha. Shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat, v'korei oneg Shabbat.
All right, I think we're warmed up and ready for tomorrow now, so that's great. So now we turn to our standing prayer, and we turn to page 164 if you're following along. And if you're not already standing up, please do so now.
Adonai sefatai tiftachu fi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim ve'Konei HaKol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot ve'imahot, U'mevi ge'ula livnei v'neihem, Lema'an Shemo be'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshiach u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezra Sarah, Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol, Atah Rav le'Hoshia, Morid Hartal, Mechakel Chayim be'Chesed, Mechayeh HaKol be'Rachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim ve'Rofei Cholim, U'matir Asurim, U'mekayem emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha bal Gevurot, U'mido Melav, Melech Mimit, U'mechayem, U'matzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah l'hachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, kadoshim b'chol yom yahalocha selah, Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. We continue in silent devotion through page 180, using the words on the right or the left side of the page or the words within your heart. When you have completed your prayers, please be seated.
Maverick prayer, something so important to us all, perhaps especially important at this time when we're socially distanced from one another and we're not allowed to go into hospitals and there's people we care so much about. But somehow I like to think and believe that our prayers, said right from our heart, will enter their thoughts. So I encourage you, if you'd like, to say the names of loved ones, just as many names as you would like out loud, or perhaps some of you want to type them into the Facebook Live stream, and Cantor will read some of those names. They'll be included in our prayers at this time. We also think of those who are caregivers, so important that they give of themselves to minister to those who are sick. And so we pray to God to embolden them, to give them strength as they care for their loved ones, for our planet, our world, our loved ones. This Misha Berach is for all of them, all of you, and for all that we love. Do we have any names that people wanted to share? I know Jeff Height was someone that was given to me, and
Susan Loeb,
Susan Loeb,
Gertrude Genzer, Peter Rudder,
you had a name?
all right, I think that's it.
So all the loved ones that we have in our heart, please join with Cantor and myself, with Maverick,
Beverly and George Feldman.
include them all in our prayers for a prayer of healing. Night Shabbat. Well, Shabbat Shalom again, everyone. I want to begin by asking you to use your imagination. Imagine a world long ago, 1,000, 2,000, no, 3,000 plus years ago, in which our people lived in a very, very different time. Our way of life has certainly changed drastically since then. From slaves being told every day what to do, the Israelites entered a new way of life, of freedom, but with untested boundaries. Moses had quite a difficult job trying to impose a set of order upon the people so that they would not fall into anarchy, nor would they be ruled by their fears. At the start of their 40-year journey was the stop to receive the first part of the law, what would become known as the Ten Commandments, and would expand from there to the laws of our Torah. Basic necessities such as food and water were provided by God, though there were periods when water was scarce and the people were unsure whether they would make it. Scarcity would stoke anger, and it would stoke fear and uncertainty. Coupled with this were the inevitable bouts of disease that would break out. They didn't have a system of medicine the way we do today, nor were physicians yet a thing. No, it was up to the religious figures to determine who was pure and who was impure. Tahor, they would say, pure, velo tahor, or tameh. Who should be removed from the camp? Even then, they had their version of social isolation. 7 days would you be asked to isolate yourself outside the camp, and then you would come back and the priest would look at you and decide whether it was time for you to re-enter the camp. If not, he would send you away for another 7 days. And if after that 14-day period you were fine, you would take your clothes and wash them and re-enter the camp. Likewise, if there was something found in your home, some kind of mold or mildew, but they would have a different name, that too was a sign that that house needed to be cleansed and made pure. They didn't have Clorox perhaps, but they had their own version of something that would cleanse that home, and they would take it apart brick by brick. 3,500 years ago, this was going on. Sometimes when we look at what we're going through, we think, this has never ever happened in the world before. Well, it's never ever happened to us before, but we have only to look at our Torah portion to see that it's happened since antiquity, and it's occurred many, many times in the chapter of human history. What I described is a process which, if I had described last year at this time, would have seemed so far from our reality, archaic, difficult to relate to Torah portion, perhaps one that we would skip over, but not this year. This year it had a special layer of meaning, and there's a meaning beyond the meaning in this week's Torah portion that we call Acharei Mot, Kiddushim, after death, holiness. In essence, it's a Torah portion that teaches us how despite travail, despite the threat of disease, somehow we have to pursue holiness. Well, let's think about this for a moment. What is interesting about the biblical portion is that while the leaders, Moses and Aaron, sought to protect the people, they also called the people to a higher ethical and moral standard at the same time. When it comes to times of fear, folks often center only about the concerns of themselves and their families. Many think, well, if I'm okay and my family is okay, that's all that matters. But even then, the leaders understood that strength came in unity, the unity of community and the unity of purpose. And survival depended upon people working together and not against one another. Amazing, isn't it? A world of 3 millennia ago has a lot to teach us about a world today and how we should act to survive. But this week's Torah portion, Acharei Mot Kiddushim, a double Torah portion, is also a clarion call for ethical behavior. This portion asks the people to understand their purpose in the world, to be a kingdom of priests, a light unto the nations. And while this specific language was to enter into our lexicon in a different part of the Torah, it is clear that the origins of this idea start here in this week's Torah portion, when God admonishes the people, "You shall be holy, for I, the eternal your God, am holy." In essence, don't be like other people. Seek to be like the divine creator. Follow your better instincts and not your common fears. Pursue values that could easily be abandoned in times of fear, and understand that your survival and the very essence of your purpose is to be judged how you act in times of crisis and stress. Someone said to me this past week, "Rabbi, crisis does not build character. Crisis reveals character." Stopped me in my tracks. We were in this very intense conversation, another leader in our community. I'll just give you her first name, Marla. Those of you who know Marla know what a great leader she is for our congregation, for our community. And we were talking about some of the things that are facing us. And she reminded me and she said, "You know, Rabbi, times are tough, and it's tough for us all, but crisis does not build character. We'd like to think it does. It truly reveals character." And I thought about it and how true that is. And so I ask you, what does this crisis reveal about us and our character? What is the metal by which we are pursuing our everyday lives, by which we are helping our neighbors who are struggling, how we're helping our community, which is being asked to be patient, so very patient when every ounce of our fiber wants to return to where we were. We adapt, but It's not easy. And when we look at our future, we know that we will have to adapt again and again and again. Well, for a while anyways. And how long for a while lasts, we don't know. Another week, a month, a year, 2 years. Part of that unsettling unknown is what makes us afraid and makes us feel a little bit helpless because we can't plan the way we would like to. Well, the people then were called to a higher purpose. And I believe we are as well. As a family, as a community, as a state, as a nation, really as an entire world. We are asked to do our part, to stay apart, but to stand together, because our future, our way of life depends upon it. I was asked by an interviewer, a reporter, yesterday about how the COVID-19 has impacted my congregation. To share some of the stories of hardship was not difficult. Too many have lost their jobs. People are waiting for businesses to open up, for the casinos to reopen so they can go back to work. Just small businesses, large businesses, everybody just wants it to return to normal. We'll even settle at this point for the new normal. Children who complained about going to school, they ain't complaining anymore. They want to go back to school. Couples wanting to get married, surrounded by all their friends and loved ones. Well, they're having a Zoom wedding, but it's sweet, but still miss that sense of everybody being with them to share the simcha. Bar Mitzvahs wanting the same. Maverick is not only being a good sport, but he's setting such a great example for our community by saying, you know what, in this time, I'm going to stand tall like a man, and I understand that things are different. But what's not different is my desire to express my pride in being a Jew. Kol hakavod, Maverick. That's a wonderful example for all of us. And even as we find temporary technological solutions such as web streaming and phone calls and Zoom, who ever heard of Zoom a couple months ago, we forget that our struggle will become more bearable and more deeply profound if we look for ways to allow this time to reveal our character in its highest form. You shall be holy because I, the eternal your God, am holy. It's an admonishment for us to follow not our fears, but our ideals. But this admonishment teaches us something else as well. Look at what the Torah does not say. It does not say, you are holy because I, the eternal your God, am holy. It doesn't say we're holy. It does not describe who we actually are. It is aspirational, an admonishment. You shall be holy. You must be able to visualize the goal in order to achieve it. You are not there yet. You have a lot of work ahead of you. And you must allow yourselves to act in the most decent and benevolent of ways towards each other. For you will be judged how you, and the Bible goes on to list all kinds of things, how you treat the stranger, the widow, the orphan, the deaf, the blind, your neighbor who owns, yes, a small business, the person who's been ill but now must be reintegrated into society. The weakest among us, the strongest among us, we're in the same storm, and we have to weather it together. And how we weather it together, how we pull together, well, that reveals our character. But it also allows us to understand what it means to pursue holiness, to pursue a place in our lives, in history, in time, to rise to an occasion and to find that better angel that exists within each one of us, so that not only can we bear what we're going through, but we'll also help others as well. Our strength is theirs, and in so doing, we truly are pursuing the goal of becoming a holy people. Now, don't misunderstand me. I'm not suggesting at all that we become monks, or that we will arise from this experience and somehow we will be religious folks who know exactly what we must do. No, we're not holy. Not then, not now. The lesson, I believe, is in the journey, not the state of being. It is how we act and how we understand and how we help and how we look to make lives better, not only for ourselves but others, that gives us the emotional wherewithal to continue. And the understanding that at times life is not about us, it is about all of us. And this is such a time. One of my favorite passages of the Torah is that which describes Moses' relationship to God. What makes the Torah infinitely relatable is that Moses is not perfect, he is flawed. He is insecure and he's quick to temper. He is filled with doubt and yet he must lead. He is but a simple shepherd, but he was raised as if he had royal blood. As we follow Moses' journey in the wilderness, we witness his metamorphosis and his desire to understand his uncertain world. So he summons all of his courage and he speaks with God and he says, listen, God, times have been tough. You have asked a lot of me and I would ask you one thing. Let me see your face. In other words, Moses says, I want to see what lies behind the mask, that which is hidden. He thinks that if he can see God face to face, that he will understand what all of the challenges really mean. But God knows that this is not the case, that it would only lead to more questions and perhaps even distractions. So God responds, you cannot see my face and live. No one can. But you can see kavodi, you can see my back, you can see my glory. And so he takes Moses, places him on a boulder, covers his eyes, and walks in front of Moses. And as he walks in front of Moses, he removes his hand, and Moses looks and sees God's glory. But most importantly, he also sees God's footsteps. A metaphor, symbolism, sure, but it teaches us a lot. Our mission isn't to be God, it's to pursue God. It's to pursue those acts of holiness so that when we act like God, we in turn become better than who we are, and we listen to those higher angels, and our character, our true character, is revealed. Moses was not shown the face of God, but he was shown the path to holiness. You shall be holy, for I, the Eternal, am holy. What is our path during this time? What guides us? What encourages us? What gives us strength? Who do we know who is in need? Who could use our help? And what are we doing about it? What do these times reveal to us about our character and who we are? For it is clear, is it not, that the path to holiness begins not by standing in place, but by moving forward, always forward. Chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek. Be strong, and let us strengthen one another. Shabbat shalom.
May we be strong, may we stand up, and may we be together.
We stand on the earth, so we better stand for her together. We stand on the earth, so we better stand for her together. Stand up for our mother, stand up for each other. Stand up for our mother, stand up for each other. We were put in this paradise, it's our job to guard her life. We were put in this paradise, it's our job to guard her life. Stand up for our mother, stand up for each other. Stand up for our mother, stand up for each other. Whoa, 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 We turn to page 586 as we begin to conclude our service with Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon ha'kol, l'tet gdula le'otzer bereshit, shelo asanu keguri ha'ratzot, velo asanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chalkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech Malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, v'nemor v'chaya Adonai, l'melech al kol ha'aretz, hayom ha'hu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo, u'shemo, u'shemo echad.
In a few moments, we will say our prayer for Kaddish and Yortzeit. And so if you have names that you would like to include in our service this evening, please start typing them into Facebook and is it YouTube also? And the cantor will read those names. So we think of those who have died in recent days: Howard Mintzer, Eli Gaffin, Carolyn Gaffin, Bernice Adkoff, Mark German, Sybil Abrams, Joseph Cohen, Esther Esben, Arlene Califf, Bernie Matisow, Laverne Henderson, Sam Lieberman, William Denton Pratt, Joan Finkelman, Harvey Golden, Eugene Arnold, Robert Forst, Kenneth Richard Lewis, Don Gartrell, Abraham Margolis. We think of the Yortzeits that are observed this week: Irving Adler, Rose Aronson, Rebecca Ball, Tony Bernay, Michael Bloom, Sadie Brender, Herman Belofsky, Lillian Belofsky, James Deacon III, Stanley Doodleson, Lillian Eisner, Francis Elbinger, Roseanne Enton, Sadie Espin, Sarah Fainblit, Irving Farber, Rosalie Fine, Celia Fishbein, George Fleischman, Sarah Glickman, Hyman Goldstein, Margaret Gottlieb, Beatrice Haenel, Dorothy Hellman, Fanny Hirsch, Faye Hollander, Edwin Horelik, Gustav Kahn, Faye Kaufman, Norman Lieb, Jack Liebling, Stuart Mason, Marty Mells, Arnold Miller, Bessie Miller, Jean Myers, Hermione Nash, Alan Nathanson, Frank Portner, Harry Rosen, Natalie Shaw, Mary Louise Spare, Bernard Spindell, Loretta Waltman, Harold Wine, Ida Weinberg, Eleanor Wolf, and Sophie Wolfson.
As you mentioned, my grandmother, Roseanne Enton, Tom Resnick, Arlene Kaloff, Lori Ruchalski, Dorothy Clark. We think of all those who have passed away due to COVID-19, including 243 Nevadans as of today. Dr. Don Ehrman, Rosalie Fine, David Robert Cantor.
Think of all these. If you're able, please stand as we join together to say our Kaddish prayer. Yid Kadal, Yid Kadash, Shemei Rabbah, B'yalma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, B'chayechom v'yomechom chayedachol Beit Yisrael, V'agalav izman kari v'imru amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba mevorach le'olam omei maya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekusha b'richu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush b'chata v'nechemata. Damiram b'yalma v'imru amen. Yehi shlomo rabba min shemai v'chayim. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mramav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, and let us say, Amen. Well, in a few moments we will look at our mystery challah, but before we do that, you know, we plan out, believe it or not, the entire year well in advance. So usually we would be working on 2021 or 2022, believe it or not, and scheduling a lot of things. But now we've been focusing on the present, and I looked at the calendar, and today was supposed to be a teacher appreciation Shabbat. And so I do want to do a special shout out to all of the teachers in our religious school, to Beth Davis, and especially our educator, Lonnie Kritzler. You know, it was an amazing thing that they did to really turn our school overnight into a Zoom virtual school and keep the attendance and keep the enthusiasm going throughout the year. And even on Sunday, when we have our last day and until we go into summer break, we really, really want to thank all of our teachers.
And remember, you have to send those TikTok videos to me if you want to be part of the montage.
All right. So what do we have here? I'm just guessing we have a special challah.
We do have a special challah. Thank you for sponsoring that to the Fywell family. And a big shout out to everyone in the Fywell family who is joining us tonight. I see a lot of you. Two names that I recognize are two of your cousins that through all of this jumble, or whatever you want to call the pandemic we're in, we've started these great programs. And one of the things I've been able to do is teach alongside my best friend, who's the cantor of Beverly Hills at Temple Emmanuel, Cantor Lizzie Weiss, and two of her students joined our Hebrew boot camp and became two of my students, even though they live there in Los Angeles. So, big shout out to Adrian and Danny, and also to, I see your grandparents are on here and lots of your family. So hello to Maverick's family. We'll see you again tomorrow morning.
All right, so before we get to the challah,
we better
say the Kiddush. So Maverick, come on up and lead us in the Kiddush.
Okay, how are we gonna do this? Hang on, let me put it over there and then you go get it.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pari hagafen. Amen. L'chaim.
Right, we have our challah split 3 ways.
A 3-way challah, all right.
Right, let's move so he can grab his.
All right, go ahead, Maverick.
You just take the whole thing?
Just take the
Yeah,
middle one.
take the middle. Go ahead and put your Kiddush cup there. All right.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Remember to eat something sweet and enjoy a challah of some kind tonight so that you can take in Shabbat with us. We miss you.
And don't you have like a challah contest going on?
Yeah, so next week our challah is graciously sponsored by the Polish family. I'm very excited to see what flavors they come up with. If you would like to sponsor a challah for us to show on the bima, please do that because we only have the next 2 weeks full and then I need more challahs. So any
And we
flavor.
want them to be creative. Chocolate chips and frosting.
Sprinkles. Last week's blueberry cream cheese was really,
that was pretty good.
It's like you almost couldn't top it, so can you top it is the question.
That's right. So, great. Maverick, we look forward to your bar mitzvah tomorrow. Ricky, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Ricky.
And Ken, do we have a special final song?
Yeah, I was in this kind of Sephardic mood. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it was like Cinco de Mayo coming up. I just had this feeling. I know it's not the same thing, but I just felt like a little Sephardic
Why not?
tradition.
A little Sephardic.
So on page 631, if you're following along, En que Eloheinu non como nuestro Dios.
Practice your Spanish. We'll get it.
Eloheinu, en God Eloheinu, en Kemotenu, en Kemoshe. Dios, non como vuestro Señor, non como vuestro Rey, non como vuestro Salvador. Mi Eloheinu, mi Adonenu, mi Eloheinu, mi Moshiachenu, quien como vuestro Dios, quien como vuestro Señor, quien como vuestro Rey, quien como vuestro Salvador. No del Eloheinu, no del Adonenu, no del Eloheinu, no del Moshiachenu. Gloremos a vuestro Dios, gloremos a vuestro Señor, gloremos a vuestro Rey, gloremos a vuestro Salvador. Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshiachenu. Bendicho vuestro Dios, bendicho vuestro Señor, bendicho vuestro Rey, bendicho vuestro Salvador. Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshiachenu. Tú sos nuestro Dios, tú sos nuestro Señor, tú sos nuestro Rey, tú sos nuestro Salvador.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, good Shabbos, everyone. Thank you for being with us. We'll see you in Torah class tomorrow, 8:45.
And then Maverick's Bar Mitzvah, 10:30.
All right.